Hi, I'm Jason Rodenbeck, and I'm the Director of Academic Services for the Access Program here at Point University. And I want to share with you for a few moments about a very important topic. Specifically, what we're talking about today is plagiarism. And the way I want to approach it is I want to talk to you about the purpose for writing. A lot of times in the hustle and bustle of going back to school, especially for new students or especially for students that have come back after being gone from school for a while, and with all the other things we have going on in our lives, it can be really easy to approach the assignments that we have as just a task that's got to be accomplished rather than a tool that's designed to aid us in learning, and rather than as a meaningful part of our education. And so sometimes when we look at a research paper or an assignment like that, sometimes we get the wrong ideas. Sometimes we look at the paper as if the real purpose of it is just to get some information to regurgitate for the instructor. In that case, a lot of times what happens is that the source of the information doesn't really matter to us. We're just trying to find something to give to the instructor. And so a lot of students sometimes just get online, do a quick Google search, get on Wikipedia, and then copy and paste a bunch of information, and then turn that in as their paper. The problem, of course, is that the paper or the information isn't yours. You didn't write that. And of course the other problem is that information may or may not be very good, may not be very reputable, and it may not have really benefited the student. So I want to go over these three purposes for writing. The first purpose for writing a paper or doing an assignment is to reveal that you as a student have researched, found, and read good, relevant information or ideas from quality sources. What that means is that your research needs to be good research. Using reputable sources such as books, journals, periodicals, and you can use websites or online research, but your websites need to be reputable or scholarly websites. There are a lot of websites out there that are not scholarly and not the kind of sources you want to use for a good paper or for an assignment. The library website here at Point University has great research tools that are at your disposal. Online journal article websites or search engines that you can use. The goal is to show that you've researched legitimate resources by citing that research. So taking bits and pieces of what you've read and incorporating into your paper and quoting it and citing it using MLA or APA standards. You've got to note every instance in which you've quoted or used someone else's words using MLA or APA standards of citation. What's not acceptable then, according to this first purpose, is just doing a Google search on your topic and using the first website or blog that you find or going directly to Wikipedia. These sources may sometimes be good ways to start research, but they may or may not be legitimate sources of information. You really need to dig a little deeper in doing your research for a paper. The second purpose for a paper or for your writing is to reveal that the student has critically reflected on and processed that information or those ideas. We want to know that you've grown, whether intellectually or personally or professionally or spiritually. We want to know that the information has changed you in some way, or that it has helped you develop an informed understanding of the ideas that you're researching or the topic that you're talking about. So your paper or your assignment needs to reveal that you have thought about what you've read. And that means that the paper needs to be written by you in your own words. It can contain your own opinions, but they need to be informed opinions. And in fact, it needs to contain your own opinions, but those need to be informed opinions based on your research. So you do the research, you cite the research, and you talk about the research. That's important. Again, you cite your research using MLA and APA standards. What's not acceptable then is just copying and pasting large pieces of information and turning it in as if you've written it yourself. That's actually theft. That's stealing someone else's ideas and turning them in as if you've written those ideas. And it's important to note, even if you cite it properly, it can still be plagiarism. You can still be breaking this rule. If you've just copied all of the information from a website into your paper and that's what you've turned in as your paper, even if you cite that you got it from there, that's still plagiarism because you didn't write that paper. You just took it from somewhere else. What's also not acceptable is when you don't cite your research appropriately using MLA or APA standards. Anytime you quote someone or use information that's not your own, if you don't cite that, then that's plagiarism. The third purpose of writing a paper, doing an assignment, is to reveal that you as a student can meaningfully articulate your own thoughts about that information or those ideas and can integrate them into a unique message that only you can produce because of your own unique strengths or insights or your own worldview. So the paper should reveal that you've used your very best linguistic and grammatical skills to communicate your research and those ideas. And even though that's a challenge for some folks, but again, here at Point University, we have a great resource for you in the Educational Resource Room or the ER, the first floor of the library. They can help you with that. The paper should reveal who you are as a person, but it needs to be in language that people can read and understand. So it needs to be written in your own words, but in language that other people can read and understand. It should be unique, it should reflect you, but it needs to also be well spoken. What's not acceptable is papers that are turned in with poor grammar, papers that aren't written or have poor style as far as the format of the paper itself, papers that aren't using MLA or APA writing standards for the whole paper. What also is not acceptable is conversational language. Papers shouldn't use slang or colloquialisms, certainly shouldn't use vulgarity. In other words, we shouldn't write the same way that we talk. And that's important. Very briefly, I want to talk to you specifically now about plagiarism itself. And it's important that you understand these things. Plagiarism is cheating. And we define plagiarism as anytime you take someone else's ideas and you turn them in as if they've come from you. This amounts to anytime you've copied and pasted or taken information without citing those sources using MLA or APA standards. Anytime you've copied and pasted large pieces of information rather than researching, reading, and thinking about and writing your own ideas about that. Anytime you've taken a large piece of information and turned it in as your own paper, that's also plagiarism. Anytime you've collaborated on a paper which is meant to be done on an individual basis. Anytime you've copied information from someone else's paper, anytime you've taken someone else's paper and just reworded it, that's also plagiarism. Anytime you've bought a paper, or used a paper, or turned in a paper somebody else turned in, that's plagiarism and it's cheating. And you need to know that plagiarism has consequences for us. As an academic institution, we would not be doing our job. We would actually be cheating you if we didn't hold you accountable on this. But plagiarism has consequences. Plagiarizing will earn a 0 for the first time that you do it. If you've plagiarized a paper, the first time you turn in a plagiarized paper, you're going to earn a 0 for that assignment. The second time, even if it's in a different class, the second time that you've plagiarized, that will result in failure for that class. You will automatically fail the class. The third instance of plagiarism for a student can actually result in expulsion from the program. Again, the reason we share all this with you is we want to make sure that you're getting the most from your education here at Point University. We want to make sure that when you do an assignment, that it's actually preparing you to work in the field in which you've chosen to study. And I hope that what I've presented here today for you helps you and helps you get the most out of your time here at Point University. Thanks for watching this, and enjoy your class.